What if I told you your next car might never need a drop of fuel again? Yes, I'm talking about electric vehicles. But before you jump into buying one, there is a big question on your mind. How far can an electric vehicle actually go on a single charge? Is it 100 kilometers, 300, 800, or can it even take you across the country? Today, we are going to explore in depth. We will look at the numbers, the real performance, the factors that change everything, and what it all means for countries like Cameroon and the rest of Africa. Stick with me till the end because I will also share how to estimate electric vehicle range based on your lifestyle. Let's go! Now let's begin with the basics. When we talk about electric vehicle range, we are talking about how far a fully charged electric vehicle can travel before it needs to be plugged in again. This range depends on certain factors, which are the battery size, measured in kilowatts hour, the efficiency of the car, measured in kilometer per kilowatt hour, the driving habit and speed, the terrain and road conditions, and even the weather. For example, a Tesla Model 3 with a 75 kilowatt-hour battery can go about 500 to 600 kilometers. Meanwhile, a smaller car like the Nissan Leaf may go only 250 to 300 kilometers. But those are manufacturer numbers. Let's talk about real-life numbers. Let's look at some popular EV models and what their real-world range looks like. The first is the Tesla Model 3 long range. Officially, it has 580 kilometers. In real life, expect about 500 kilometers with city and highway mix. The BYD Dolphin, a very affordable EV. Range is about 340 kilometers. Real world range is closer to 300 kilometers. The Nissan Leaf, one of the oldest EVs around, officially about 270 kilometers. Real world, closer to 200 to 230 kilometers. The Hyundai Kona EV, rated at about 480 kilometers, but in real life, often between 400 and 450 kilometers. The Chevy Bolt EV, rated for 417 kilometers, but on Cameroonian roads can be around 350 kilometers depending on the terrain. Now, the most affordable EVs under $10,000 may have lower range, about 150 to 250 kilometers. Still good for daily commuting. And remember, how you drive really matters. Let me explain. More energy you use. At 100 kilometers per hour, you use more power than cruising at 60 kilometers per hour. The next is the acceleration. If you accelerate aggressively, it drains the battery faster. The next is the hills versus the flat road, whereby climbing hills consumes more than passing on flat roads. Air conditioning or heaters. Yes, even using AC affects your range. The weight and the load. The more the passengers or the cargo you carry, the more energy you use. So if you're driving in Douala traffic versus a long smooth road from Boya to Limbe, expect different results. Understanding this helps you plan your journey better. So how does this work in Africa, especially in countries like Cameroon? Well, the lack of public chargers means you have to know your range and plan ahead. But here's the good news. Most daily commutes in Africa's cities are under 40 kilometers. Even the cheapest EVs can handle that easily. Charging overnight at home using a 220 volt plug is already enough for many people. EVs are cheaper to maintain in the long run, especially with fuel pricing rising. A city like Yaoundé or Boya is ideal for EVs with 250 km range. If you planned intercity trips, Then go for the higher range options like the BYD or the Tesla. In the next few years, as solar charging and infrastructure expands, EV range anxiety will disappear. Now let's talk about charging. The method you use to charge your EV can affect your experience with range. There are level 1 chargers. These are regular home outlets, slow, about 8 kilometers of range per hour of a charge. The next are level 2 chargers. They are home or public charging stations, but faster than the level 1 chargers. They are about 30 kilometers per hour. The next and the last is the DC fast chargers, which is the fastest among these options. You can get up to 80% in 20 to 30 minutes. But let's come to reality. In Cameroon, people rely on level 1 or 2, but fast chargers are coming. Planning your route around charging option is essential. Now let's compare an EV range to the traditional car's range. A full tank in a gas-powered car can take you 500 to 800 kilometers. An EV the same. But EVs have an edge. You can charge at home. Maintenance is simpler. Regenerative braking saves energy. What about the cost? Charging is cheaper than fuel, and once solar comes into play, it gets even better. The battery technology also matters. We will take into consideration some types of battery. The first is the lithium-ion battery, which is common, good balance of weight and energy. The next is the lithium-ion phosphate, called the LFP, which is cheaper, durable, used in most BYD cars. The next is the solid-state battery, which is coming soon. It is lighter, it is safer, longer range. Better batteries equals to better. But over time, battery degradation happens. A car that gave 400 kilometers might drop to 350 after 5 years. But smart battery management systems help slow that down. In cold countries, electric vehicles can lose 10 to 30% range because the battery works less efficiently and more power is used for heating. In hot climates like Cameroon and other African countries, the effect is similar, but using AC regularly will reduce your range. Choose cars with climate-optimized battery systems if you are in the extreme areas. Now you might be asking, what if I am to travel on a long range or on a long distance? Here, I give you some certain things to take into consideration. If you're going on a long journey, here is how to plan it. First, you have to know your car's range. The next, you have to check for charging stations along the route. The third is to avoid extreme speed, as earlier mentioned in this video. The fourth is to park light. And the next is to charge overnight before your trip. Apps like SplugShare or ABRP can help with route planning. In Africa, WhatsApp groups and communities also help share EV knowledge. Now let's bust some myths. EVs don't run out suddenly. You get warnings just like in fuel. Charging doesn't take forever in planned right. You don't need to fully charge every time. Regenerative braking helps recover energy. You don't need 500 kilometers of range if you only drive 30 kilometers a day. Range anxiety is real, but manageable with proper planning. Let me share a few stories. Kofi in Accra uses a BYD Dolphin for every delivery. He charges at home every 2 days. Sandra in Boya switched from fuel to EVs and saves over 60% monthly. James in Lagos does intercity travels with a corner EV and stops to charge at hotels. These stories show how Africans are adapting. You don't need to be rich to own an EV. You just need to be smart. The future is bright. Battery tech is improving. Local charging stations are increasing. Government support is growing. EVs are becoming more affordable. In few years, range wouldn't be a concern. You will have choices from compact city EVs to long-range SUVs. Africa is not left behind. We are simply preparing for the right leap. So how far can an EV go on one charge? From 180 to 800 kilometers? The answer depends on the car, the driver, and the road. Choose wisely, plan ahead, and embrace the future. Like this video if you learned something. Subscribe to AutoUp for more African EV stories. Drop your questions in the comment section and meet you in the next one. Thank you.